warming back up, and it's not raining, thank God. So let's go ahead and get started, and thank you all for joining us. Now, it definitely looks a lot different than at night, right? This is Park Avenue looking all the way down towards the MetLife building and the one and only Grand Central Terminal. And you can see construction on the 270 Park Avenue building here. This is the new Jamie Dimon, tower. Pretty cool. Now this is looking northbound on Park Avenue, 432 Park. All right, let's get started. I got a showing all the way down in Tribeca at 5 Franklin Place. Again, we got about an hour gap in the schedule. Thought I'd pop on real quick. We're outside my favorite building in all New York City, the Seagram building. Alan is here. What's up? Hello, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Ali, MD, Meep, what's going on? Thanks so much, Stephanie. Appreciate it. Now, I think Centerbridge has an office right inside the Seagram building. Josie says, Tom, have you heard about the bridge collapse in Baltimore, Maryland? I did. It's horrible. Almost kind of unbelievable, actually. Almost unbelievable. I think there's 7 people missing from this collapse. It's really unfortunate what happened. Apparently a big tanker truck from Singapore, I believe, slammed into the side of the bridge, causing a complete collapse. It's just absolutely horrible. In terms of that particular sector in the equity market, a lot of the shipping companies, the big tankers, and how we can kind of use that price action as a leading indicator for the economy, right? Last week we missed FedEx as they reported earnings, reported a better than expected quarter, even though they missed on revenue. But, you know, we can kind of use individual stocks in and of themselves as leading indicators as we kind of cross over to closer to 2nd Avenue. But things seem robust. Doesn't seem like there's going to be too much of a slowdown. There was a little bit of negative talk in the earnings report on FedEx. But in terms of EPS, they beat on earnings, but a little bit light on the revenue. We'll see what happens over the next coming quarters. But a lot of those shipping stocks, or I should say shipping companies, doing rather well. Lots of people out and about in the city today. This is Lexington Avenue. I'm going to have to walk a little bit faster pace because we only have about an hour to get down to Tribeca. But you'll notice Midtown Manhattan really fills up now during the day. Seems as if people are now back in the office as opposed to the city being a complete ghost town. Now, yesterday, as we were discussing, it was pretty quiet, pretty dead. Even in the business district, Park Avenue, you know, where a lot of the big financial firms, it seems like everybody took the day off on Monday, maybe just to work remote, but today seems pretty busy. I had an in-person meeting in the office. The entire team got together, and the Element offices were completely packed. This is the very back of the brand new Waldorf Astoria residences. Now, this was closed down for a long, long time. They did a complete gut renovation here. Hey, R2D2 says New York is alive. Indeed it is. Thanks for joining us. We're waiting on those inflation numbers that are going to be coming out on Friday. We just have to remember that today, well, I should say this week is a shortened week on Wall Street. Good Friday is Friday, so both the fixed income and equity markets will be closed. So there's going to be no trading on Friday. However, we are probably going to get the most important piece of economic data of the week, just in time to hear from the Federal Reserve Chairman yet again. Friday at 11:30 a.m., we are going to hear from Jerome Powell after we get those PCE numbers out, both the headline and core. MD says, Tom, what are your plans for Easter? I don't know. Really no plans. Honestly, I'm going to be working a lot. For me, I don't know about you guys, in terms of like being out in the field, actively seeing customers, clients, going on pitches and showing things, a little bit busy on the weekend, which makes sense. More people have time to go out and check out property on the weekend. So I'll probably be working on Easter. This is looking over towards Park Avenue. But we are going to walk directly past the easternmost side of Grand Central Station. I figured from time to time, if I have, an hour window here, 30-minute window there during the day, I will try to pop on during the daytime as much as I can, just to give you a different perspective of, what the different neighborhoods in New York look like, what the city looks like during the daytime when everybody's headed to work, coming back and forth, as opposed to what it looks like at night. I think it'll give you a nice contrast. Or else PCE should be higher based upon the recent CPI and PPI. I think you're right. The last CPI came as a pretty big shock to everybody, although the Federal Reserve President, Jerome Powell, really tried to talk it down, honestly, at the last FOMC meeting. Very nonchalant about it, kind of like business as usual, saying that, we're making good progress on inflation. Little road rage action, we'll get away from that. But yeah, at the last FOMC meeting, it was just a lot of kind of brushing it aside, saying, look, we expect inflation to come back down to our 2% target in due time. We still expect at least 3 rate cuts at some point this year. If you look at the CME Fed Watch tool, it says exactly that. Very, very high probabilities and a high likelihood that we get at least one cut of 25 basis points by June, which I don't know if that's necessarily the appropriate plan, but then again, I'm not the chairman of the Federal Reserve, so potentially we'll have inflation ingrained and sustained at 3%. Will be the new norm. We'll see. The main variable, as we all know, well, I should say 2 main variables that are really helping to keep that inflation number propped up is shelter costs and energy. Shelter makes up about 40% of the entire number. Or I should say 40% of the entire indice is shelter. But slowly but surely that's coming down. Comes down a lot faster than other categories because of the lack of liquidity. Wad Banks' Baltimore Bridge thoughts. I think it's terrible. There's really nothing more I could say about it. It's almost kind of unbelievable how they could let a tragic accident like that happen. It's just so tragic for everybody. Apparently the power went out on that ship and it crashed into the bridge and totally collapsed it. It's just horrible. Just really, really wild. I saw that on X this morning, or Twitter. Almost to kind of disbelief how something like that could possibly even happen. I don't know. Alan says, I know my rent went up at renewal again. What was the percentage increase, by the way? Was it like a crazy increase, or was it just a normal, let's say 3%, 2% bump in rent? In some of the bigger markets that were really, really white hot during the pandemic, you're actually starting to see both sale prices for single family homes, duplexes and triplexes come down, and also rentals too. Particularly major cities like Austin, Texas. But that's a good thing, right? I think we need to keep this in mind because it's just basic supply and demand, right? This is economics 101. If you want prices of homes to come down, if you want prices of rentals to come down, you're going to need more supply on the market. And particularly cities in red states, not to get political, but have been doing a little bit better job with approving building permits, right? Allowing supply to come on the market. So I really wouldn't view these price declines as a bad thing. I would view the price declines as a good thing, right? I mean, God forbid somebody doesn't have to pay 80% of their income towards their rent. I mean, God forbid, right? Bree, what's going on? Thanks so much for joining us. It's going to be a quick stream, but hopefully you all are enjoying New York City during the daytime. This is Lexington Avenue, and we're standing directly under the Chrysler building here. Elias, welcome. We'll stay right on Lexington and we'll go all the way down. Donna, what's going on? Thanks so much. Somebody's like, it could have easily been a hack. I don't know. I don't really want to speculate on that because I like to consider this the fog of war phase. Usually when some major event happens, you'll have a zillion different reports and a zillion different opinions come out. And almost all of them are probably going to be some sort of false or misinformation. So I usually like to say, wait a week. If you want to know the true, outcome or the true story, you got to wait a week before all that comes out. No one likes to. And plus, you don't really want to be speculating on what's happening because people are missing loved ones right now, honestly, which is crazy. But I wouldn't say it's totally out of the question, some sort of cyber attack. I wrote an interesting thesis about, I think 2024 is going to be the year of cybercrime, particularly as we head into an election. Not only the US election, but the Russian election just happened, where Vladimir Putin won by, I think, a 70% margin re-election. So, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on who you ask, that's going to act as a tailwind for a lot of those cybersecurity companies. We've been talking about a lot of them, such as Palo Alto Networks, Zscaler, CrowdStrike. And if anybody has worked in tech or worked in software, particularly software sales, and if you're dealing with a lot of these vendors, one of the things you'll notice from talking with customers and clients is that the customer on the other end of the transaction is dealing with so many different vendors, right? The larger the company is, right, if you're dealing with a Fortune 500, a Global 2000, Fortune 50 customer, they actually hire individual staff members to manage all of the vendors. Like, it gets that big. So the value proposition that a lot of these big cybersecurity companies are trying to propose right now is becoming a one-stop shop for their entire infrastructure, right? So the value prop would be you deal with one vendor and you can consolidate your bill on a single pane of glass, so to speak. So you don't have to buy your Emotet software here. You don't have to buy your, identity and access management software from this vendor. You don't have to do your SD-WAN through another vendor. you can go direct to one person and get a complete platform, right? And those are actually kind of the things that I was selling back in my day, starting from the telecom side, right? You know, if you think about a legacy, traditional, MPLS network, something like that, and then making that transition to SD-WAN. So I think the companies that are really going to thrive and be successful are the companies that are going to be able to provide the most solutions in-house and service those customers. Microsoft's trying to do the same exact thing. I know CrowdStrike is trying to do the same exact thing. So the more consolidation, the more products and services you can offer to customers under one single roof, the more likelihood that you're going to win that business. Hey, Arun Z, good to see you. What's going on? Hope you're enjoying the stream. Phlox, good to see you. First time here, thanks for joining. You have this beautiful view of the Empire State Building here. Abdullah, what's up? All right, let me get rid of this guy. These townhomes here are amazing. We're about to pass the Morgan Library too. East 36th Street. John Casey, what's going on? Wow, look at this block. The architecture here is unreal. R2D2 says, I like how you avoid nuts. Yeah, I try to do the best I can to avoid nuts, for sure, for sure. You can kind of see a lot of the leaves coming in on the trees too. Now, during our normal live stream tonight, we're going to be doing a deep dive across the board into a lot of the oil companies. As we've noticed that crude oil has kind of been gaining steam over $80 a barrel here. There could be an interesting bull thesis for not only getting long commodities into the summer, but potentially maybe catching some of these oil and gas names as they try to come out over new all-time record highs into the summer. It's not guaranteed that's going to happen, but if you look at companies like ExxonMobil, Chevron, Occidental Petroleum, if we continue to have this bid in crude, it could be an interesting play to see a sector rotation into energy. Here's another good shot of the Empire State Building from Lexington Avenue. Now we're gonna head down past 34th Street. We're gonna head through Madison Square Park, and that should take us all the way into Canal Street, where my meeting is, very close to there. MD, Tom, take a look at HP. I will take a look at HP. Thank you for that. Sharon, good to see you. This is a really unique shot of the Empire. East 34th Street and Lexington Avenue. We almost never come all the way over to the east side and go down. It's kind of good to see it during the day. If you continue to walk over east, those are the major hospitals. I think there's a children's hospital. Have you ever seen the kind of famous Dalmatian statue that's balancing a New York City taxi on its nose? It's right over there on 34th, all the way on the east side. Cynthia Beale, what's up? Good to see you. This is the Yeshiva University. Right on the corner of East 33rd Street. And if we continue down here, we're going to head into Baruch College. Mainly a finance school. I should say most known for being a finance school. You can see the NYU bus. Now there's a new development that's going to come up on your left. It's called the Lexi. It's a pretty decent building, but you'll see, well, I can't explain it. I'll let you guys just have a visual. Hey, NMB 45, good to see you. Just hope you're having a great day. Yeah, I'm commuting to work right now. I have an appointment in Tribeca, so I thought I'd pop on for a little bit, say what's up to everybody. We were briefly touching on that horrible accident that happened with that cargo ship hitting into the bridge and causing a total collapse. I think they're trying to do search and rescue operations right now. All right, so we're headed into the Gramercy neighborhood of New York. If you continue all the way down Lexington, you run into the very famous Gramercy Park. Hey, Ace Options Trading, what's going on? Ace Options Trading, I was watching the VIX today. The VIX is back below 13. The VIX down 2% on the day. Now, yesterday was some of the lowest volume we've had across the exchanges in over a year. I think with the long weekend, the shortened trading week, I don't think there's going to be much action, right? Equity markets and fixed income markets are closed Friday. Everybody's waiting for the PCE numbers to come out Friday morning at 8:30. And then we have Fed Chair Jerome Powell making another speech at 11:30 a.m. on Friday. So long weekend, really not too much going on. Doug Thompson says you need to be really careful with parking in Manhattan. Well, I'll tell you guys a crazy story. This was just last week, and I posted it on my X or my Twitter. I was walking to get some pizza. This was like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I witnessed this unbelievable car chase, and it wasn't even with the police. It was between like two cars. They were road raging, and this guy makes this turn, probably at 50 miles an hour, loses control of his car, and absolutely obliterates this poor Volvo, and blows the car from the street onto the sidewalk, onto a pile of garbage. The guy then proceeds to just back up and just takes off and just totally leaves that car obliterated. So, if you're parking your car on the streets of New York, you never know what's going to happen. I just couldn't imagine coming out of my apartment, right, walking to my car and seeing my car knocked from the street onto the sidewalk on top of a massive garbage pile with the entire side of the vehicle blown out. But it's New York City. All right, everybody, this is the campus of Baruch College, East 25th Street and Lex. Very notable finance school in the CUNY system. I'll show you the building. A lot of students at Baruch go on to work in banking, finance. Right here in the Kips Bay / Gramercy North section of Manhattan. Ace Options Trading says, do you like the East Village or West Village a little bit more? I'd say the West Village. I like the West Village probably a lot more, actually. I would say if you're younger, the East Village is probably going to be the crowd for you. But, older, more mature, I'd say West Village. Better restaurants in the West Village, too, in my opinion. But it's very expensive. You're going to be paying a pretty penny to live in the West Village. So one of the buildings that we're selling, or one of the buildings that we're selling apartments in, is right on the left here. It's called Gramercy North, 139 East 23rd Street. If you want to see what it looks like, just type !23 or 23 in the chat. Since we got the red light, I can quickly show you the building. Hey, Cynthia Beals is my friend who's in finance, hired interns from Baruch. Nice. Yeah, it's a good school. It's a really good school in the CUNY system. Doug says, agreed, Tom. West Village might be the go-to place if I return to New York City. It's really, really nice. And, an interesting piece of real estate data here. Now, Tribeca used to be the #1 most expensive neighborhood in Manhattan. That is now dethroned and it's overtaken by the West Village. So, you get a lot of nice townhouses there. Really beautiful, really pretty. But this is the building. We only have 3 units left. So we have unit 12, 14, and 15 on the market. We just sold unit 2. They're doing major construction on unit 2. The place is gonna look sick. But if you wanna see what it looks like, just type !23 in the chat. And it should drop the property tour we filmed of unit 2 that's now sold. So if you know anybody, or you're looking to move to kind of the Kips Bay, Gramercy Park neighborhood, feel free to reach out to us. We have 3 units left, and the sponsor is motivated to get some deals done. All right, guys, we're gonna make a little detour around Gramercy Park, and that'll drop us all the way past. We're essentially gonna take this all the way down to Canal Street. Hey, Dan Sang, what's going on, man? Good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us on this quick impromptu live stream. Let's try to walk around. Wow. Gramercy Park looks beautiful today. Now, you can only go inside Gramercy Park if you own a unit in one of the neighboring buildings. It comes with a key to the park. But this is an awesome neighborhood. We sometimes walk around here at night, but it's better to see it during the day because the architecture here is unbelievable. We're turning on Gramercy Park West, and you'll be able to see exactly what I'm talking about. Look at these townhomes here with those really bright red brick facades. Very beautiful and well-kept neighborhood too. Victor, what's going on? Thanks for joining. Hey, Crypto Meme, what's going on? We're checking out the Gramercy Park neighborhood in New York City. Speaking of Bitcoin, big rally yesterday. This is a little bit of a bummer. Look at that. Looks like they're putting scaffolding up over the entire facade here. What do you guys think? Thumbs up or thumbs down on the Gramercy Park neighborhood? I like it. It's very expensive here though, but it looks like old New York, very colonial kind of style. A lot of pre-war. We'll make a right on Irving Place. And this will lead us all the way down to 14th Street, Union Square. But if you guys are enjoying the live stream so far today, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. We usually do our main live streams at night, starting at 8:30. That's our main show. But whenever I can, I'll pop on during the day if I have time. Oh, that's right, Ace Options Trading. I was gonna give you a book recommendation I think you're gonna like if you're a big options guy, big derivatives guy. Check out this book called Managing Expectations. I think you'll like it a lot. So again, it's Managing Expectations by Anthony Saliba or Tony Saliba. Now, if anybody in here is an options trader or derivatives trader, you really should know about Tony Saliba or Anthony Saliba, right? one of the greatest, probably one of the most legendary options traders that ever lived. He was an absolute legend in Chicago, in the pits of Chicago. And now he actually started to open up his own company called Mercury. Now, he wants to build out the first institutional grade level derivatives exchange for the cryptocurrency ecosphere, so to speak. But prior to that, he sold his firm to Liquid Point. This was way back in the day. I think for just under $500 million, he sold it to Liquid Point.
Then I got to go back.
So Anthony Saliba, he was also featured in the Market Wizards series. If anybody's ever read the Jack Schwager Market Wizards, I believe he was in the first Market Wizards book. I met Anthony Saliba once. He's a very nice guy. Check this out. This is corner of East 18th Street and Irving Place. Pete's Tavern. This beautiful red facade here. It's just a nice community. You have good views of the Chrysler Building all the way in the distance. You have coffee shops. This coffee shop is one of my favorites. It's Irving Farm, New York. Multiple locations throughout the city. It's really good. I've been noticing a lot of NYPD officers out. There's more patrols out today than usual. Unfortunately, due to what happened last night, just a horrible tragedy.
It's the
Okay, we're coming up on 14th Street. We're going to make a right and we're going to go back to Broadway. And then we're going to make that other left. That's going to take us all the way down through NYU, New York University. And we'll be walking all the way through Soho. And now we'll drop us off on Canal Street. Ace Options Trading says, hey Tom, assuming you would need $140,000 salary to live in this area, and I found the book for $103. Yeah, I mean, usually how it works is if you don't have a guarantor, you need to make 40 times the monthly rent, right? So that's kind of what landlords would accept. So if you're looking to rent an apartment, you know, just do the monthly rent times 40, and that is the minimum, I would say, salary or income requirement that landlords want in order to rent to you. Now, if you don't make that, it doesn't mean you can't rent the apartment. You just need a guarantor to co-sign your lease. So hopefully that answers your question. But just remember, most times it's 40 times the rent. And in New York City, it's very different, right? Now, for those of you who have never signed a lease in New York, it can be a little bit frustrating to go through the process just because of all the laws we have here. Most people, right, especially if you're out of state, a lot of times they don't want to have to go through all the paperwork of the lease and all this nonsense. So they'll go to the landlord and say, you know what, I'll just pay a year's rent up front. I'll write you a check for the full amount. Well, unfortunately, that's illegal now. You're not allowed to do that in New York because, you know, according to some of the city lawmakers, that's been pricing out a lot of people from the market because there's a lot of foreign investors, a lot of foreign buyers, and a lot of people who have money that have been pricing people out by saying, hey, I'll give you 1 year's rent up front. You know, if you knock off $200 a month, right? And I'll write you a check for the whole thing and I'll move in. So now you are not allowed to pay a year in advance anymore. Landlords can only take first month's, last month's, and security deposit. They're not allowed to do anything else. All right, let's bang a left here. Someone says, is it 40 times the rent or 4 times? It is 40 times your monthly rent. So let's say if your monthly rent is $2,000 a month, you go 2,000 times 40, and that is what you need to make per year to rent the apartment without some sort of a co-signer. Does that make sense? Not 40 times the yearly rent, 40 times the monthly rent. This is going to bring us right to Astor Place and the brand new Wegmans. How many of you in the chat are familiar with Wegmans? It's an awesome brand. I personally think it's a better grocery store than Whole Foods, in my view. Cynthia Beals, Tom, but what if they're roommates? Then you would sign the lease together. So let's say if you're renting a 4-bedroom apartment and you're gonna have 4 individual people living there, then they would have 4 people on the lease. And the same thing would apply. But that's what a lot of New Yorkers do, particularly if you're not from New York and you're coming here for the first time, you're early on in your career. Many New Yorkers live with roommates, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, your first 5 years out of college, you're living with other people to save money. There's nothing wrong with that at all. I think that's a really good strategy. Hey, what's up, Jeff? Jeff in Southern Tier, New York. Always a pleasure to have you. We're about to pass the Wegmans right at Astor Place. Cynthia Beal, it's 40 times your portion. So whatever your portion is, you need to make 40 times your portion. So if your rent is $1,000, you would need to make a minimum of $40,000 a year. All right, here we are. Astor Place. And the Wegmans. Just off to our left is the IBM. This is their Watson headquarters. IBM Watson. I actually interviewed for an enterprise account executive position for IBM Watson. You could see right here, 51 Astor Place. Wegmans is really known for their prepared food. So they have really good stuff here. Chicken wings, a bunch of stuff. Give me just 1 second. Six train entrance. This is the Uptown. All right, back on the road. I think I have about 30 more minutes. This is that very famous cube. Dan saying says I can't wait for the incoming 65-degree temperatures. I can't either, man. It's a pretty nice day out today. Feels like 50. Yeah, Anthony says meeting incoming. Yeah, I have to meet a client at 5 Franklin Place, where we're headed. Hey, Zozo Bob, what's up? Now we're gonna transition into NoHo, and then as we go south of Houston Street, we're gonna then transition one more time into Soho. This is one of my favorite kind of blocks right here. You'll see why in a minute. They used to have a big wine shop here. Yeah, it's still here. East 4th Street. Someone's asking me what I think of REITs or real estate investment trusts. What do I think of them? Well, I mean, it really depends on what they're holding, right? I mean, there's many different types of REITs. Some REITs can invest in multifamily. Some REITs can invest in commercial real estate. And there's actually some REITs that are more on the technology side, like data center, right? So it really just depends. It really just depends on the investment strategy, you know, what they're holding in their portfolio. But in a general sense, it's an easier way for investors to get access to the real estate market with more liquidity and kind of more freedom. You're just going to pay, obviously, for the expense. Two real freedoms is, do I walk faster during the day? I am kind of hustling up a little bit.
Every time I go on an appointment, I like to get there about 10 to 15 minutes before the actual potential buyer or the buyer broker shows up. You know, turn on all the lights, kind of get my presentations out. Sometimes I'll do like a mock scenario of all the different objections that I could potentially get, how I'm going to overcome those objections. I bring waters too. I bring like sparkling water, because I think at this price point, it's important to leave a very good impression, right? If somebody's going to come out of their way to see a $3.5 million apartment on a Monday afternoon, you know, you want to make sure the presentation is 10 out of 10 to really kind of wow them. All right, here we are, NoHo. Bleecker Street is coming up. And then we're gonna pass my favorite coffee shop in the city, Gasoline Alley Coffee. Sometimes it depends on the person. Sometimes I have on like very light music. Really just depends. All right, Bleecker Street Station. Just off to the left is Gasoline Alley Coffee. Arguably, well, one of the best coffee shops in the city right here. Not a lot of seating space. You could sit outside, but it's a very cool neighborhood, very hip. It's a totally different atmosphere, totally different vibe down here. And I love it during the day. It kind of feels electric. All right, this is Houston Street, everybody. So we're gonna be crossing southbound. And this is going to take us into the Soho neighborhood. So you'll see Mulberry Street, which is right here. If you remember the live streams from the San Gennaro's Feast, this is where it starts, and then it ends on Canal. So you have Mulberry to the left, but we're gonna continue to head down here, just because it's a little bit wider on Lafayette. But if you guys are enjoying the daytime stream, feel free to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you're new. We usually do these, well, our main show is at 8:30 p.m. But anytime I could find an hour time slot, 30-minute time slot, I'll try to come on during the day just to give you a different perspective of how the city is.
Everybody wearing.
Yeah, Chris, Flight Club. I believe that's that sneaker store, right? Flight Club is like a very expensive, almost like a rare collection sneaker store. But I love the architecture here. Look at it. Pre-war, lots of fire escapes. Coming up on Prince Street. You'll have Prince Street Pizza. But if we go down one more, we're gonna hit Grand Street. And Grand Street will take you to a straight shot into Chinatown too. We used to have this really amazing listing there. The building was 74 grand. It was a complete conversion into brand new condos. And it had a 32-ton cast iron facade that was fully refurbished. Dan Sanks, Tom, have you had any bubble tea or boba lately. I actually may get some today since we're generally close-ish to Chinatown. I may get some. Man, this tree is beautiful here. Look at that. Hey, Sal. What's up? Thanks for joining us. Coming up on Spring Street. Oh, did anybody have any issues with Airbnb this week? Or I should say today. I think there was a system-wide glitch. I'm not sure if we have any Airbnb hosts in the chat. But apparently Airbnb has just been depositing like obscene amounts of money into people's accounts. It was a big accounting error. So I woke up with like $75,000 deposited into my bank account from Airbnb. Now they sent me an email almost right away and they're rectifying it, but I was like, what the heck? I thought somebody reserved my house for like 3 years. I don't know if that made the news or anything, but this was like at 9:30 this morning. I don't know if there's any hosts in the chat that may have had that issue. You know, that happens from time to time. You hear those stories of like JP Morgan Chase accidentally depositing like $2 million into people's accounts. And some people actually spend it, and then they're pretty much screwed. Now, this is a good Egyptian restaurant, guys. Right here, it's called Zuba. Really, really good spot. Looks like it's closed, actually. Now on the corner of Cleveland Street. We're on the west side of Chinatown now. This is a very, very unique shot, looking all the way down to Lower Manhattan. Spruce Street is that big building. I think it's 5 Spruce. Look at how cool that mural is on the side of the wall there. Oh, MD's CNBC's did a story on it. Wow, look at that. Sun's trying to come out too. Okay, we're coming up on Grand Street. Lots of construction going on here. Collector's Dream says Midtown Miami has beautiful graffiti. Yeah, like in the Wynwood section of Miami is absolutely stunning. Next time I'm back in Miami, I'll have to do some standalone footage there. right, here we are, Little Italy. Mulberry Street and Grand. We're gonna make a right on Mulberry and we're gonna walk 2 blocks to Canal Street. Okay, well, 3 blocks. Who's counting? Yeah, Harry Connor. So today is the first official day of trading all of the major platforms. I mean, the progress that X has been making in terms of their advertising revenue, just changes to the platform. I mean, there's no way that Truth Social is going to be able to compete with that. Just no way. And they don't have a good operator at the head of the company, right? X has Elon Musk, the most successful operator of all time in history of forever. So, I don't know, we'll see. Now, all these guys are out kind of selling the counterfeit stuff. Last week when I was coming out of one of my showings on Canal Street, the NYPD was doing the random checks. And they confiscated, I mean, just bags and bags and bags of counterfeit goods from these people. And they all took off running and just left all the stuff there. So the NYPD, according to the mayor's office, Mayor Eric Adams, is really cutting down and really cracking down on a lot of the, I should say, counterfeit good sales. Oops, excuse me. Oops, sorry, excuse me. All right, everybody, welcome to Canal Street. This pretty much splits the island of Manhattan in half. Right now we are looking west. This is going to run you all the way to the Holland Tunnel. Very, very busy here. Wow. Very lively. You have fruit vendors everywhere. It looks really nice. I'm actually probably going to get something to eat before I have to run into my appointment here. But tonight we're going to be talking about a lot. There's going to be a ton of things to cover. We're going to be talking about commodities tonight. And we're also going to be talking about the shipping sector, right? How can we use the shipping sector and a lot of these shipping stocks as a leading economic indicator for the health of the economy, not only in the United States domestically, but globally. So make sure you tune in tonight. All right, I think this is a good place to leave it, guys. I got to run to work. So if you enjoyed the live stream during the day, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new here. And I will see you all live tonight for our main show at 8:30 p.m. So thanks so much for joining. I got to run. Hopefully I'll sell something. And have a wonderful Tuesday, everybody. We will see you later tonight. Thanks so much.